Dramatic new body cam video just released of an armed ambush on a pair of sheriff's deputies from Brevard County, Florida. A warning, it is video that could be disturbing to many viewers. Bullets fly when a pair of Florida deputies are suddenly ambushed. It all started with a traffic stop. Deputy Tyler Toman talking to a woman while another person rests against the trunk of the sedan. A second deputy, Brian Potters, approaches the vehicle and inside sees a third adult and a baby, and also a dog in the back seat. He makes small talk about his own kids and asks the adult to get out of the vehicle.
He wants to talk to you out here. Is that all you're... Yeah. I'll watch him for you. He's all right. I got babies. Oh, you got a dog too? Hell. I'll make sure they're all right. I got babies too, man.
That's when the car door opens and all hell breaks loose. More than 61 bullets fired in less than a minute. The man with the assault rifle hit in the leg, and Deputy Brian Potters shouts out he's been hit. Deputy Potters disoriented, not realizing the gunman is right behind him. The gunman hammers Potters in the face with the butt of his rifle, and when Potters goes down, the gunman keeps beating his face, fracturing his sinus and orbital bones. Deputy Tyler Toman drops his spent clip, quickly reloads his gun before unloading it at the man attacking Deputy Potters.
Let there be no doubt, this individual got exactly what he deserved. And to those out there who might be foolish enough to ask why we shot him so many times, that answer is simple. Because evil can never be dead enough.
The Brevard County Sheriff says the man who attacked the deputies was 38-year-old Paris Wilder. The sheriff calling him a violent career criminal with a long history of crimes, including drug trafficking, aggravated assault, battery on a law enforcement officer, and attempted murder. Wilder was out on bond at the time of the attack.
Hello all, and welcome back to my channel, Red Femme Diaries. So I've been like stressing over like the last hour how to present this particular content, and basically I came up with nothing. I don't know how to do this, so I'm just going to kind of baby step my way through this, and I'm going to pretty much let Sowell do most of my talking. I'm not an educated woman. I only have an associate's degree, so I'm not fully able to present this in a way that you all will understand. So anyway, I'll let Sowell do it at the end, but I'm just going to talk briefly, and then we'll go on to the clips. You guys know how I do. I always put clips. So I came across this post on my YouTube channel. You see my new YouTube channel here, and as you all know, this is a struggle YouTube. This is a struggle YouTube channel. So just, it is what it is, y'all. I struggle, okay, with technology, and I don't have time and energy. I'm dying of cancer here, so literally I'm exhausted. I'm in pain right now, but I want to present this. So I came across this post, and y'all can see it there. I'm not going to read it for you. And when I first saw this post, I was not happy. I was like, oh God, this is terrible. Why would somebody present something like this? And the reason why I said that is because as you guys know, I have 2 sons, and I don't teach my sons this. I don't teach my sons that the police officers protect and serve white people's sons, but they don't protect and serve you. They want to control and patrol you because the officers are out to get you. They're hunting you down. Jesus, that's insane. What I teach my boys, and I teach them what my father would have taught them, their papa. He was a police officer, 30 plus years, LAPD. He was in the time of the Rodney King riots. He served at that time, and if he saw the way police officers were being treated now, he would probably roll over in his grave. God rest his soul. But I teach my sons what my father taught me, and that was you respect authority. So I've been pulled over many times. I know, y'all, your girl Red Femme Diaries, she gets to speeding sometimes. I know. Always late, CP time. So what happens is when I get pulled over, the couple times I have, but I can only count on one hand. One time I was in the carpool lane with nobody in my car, was speeding, and I crossed the double yellow lines. The police officer pulled me over. And you know what I did, y'all? I started cursing him out. I told him, you racist white pig cop. I started spitting. Sorry. No, that's not at all what I did. I pulled over and he came to the window. He said, you know why I pulled you over? I said, I know exactly why. I said, I've been speeding. I crossed over those lines, he said, and there's nobody in your car. I said, there sure isn't. That means I was driving in the carpool lane, officer. I'm so sorry. I said, I know better than that, but I did it. And so you know what he did, you guys? He yanked me out of the car by my hair and he started beating me and calling me nigger. I'm sorry. No, he didn't, you guys. What he did was he said for the egregious, he didn't say sin, but he said for the egregious, I can't say the word. See, I told you I'm not educated. For the crime, that's what he said, the crime of not having your correct address on your license, I'm going to give you a fix-it ticket. So basically, he ignored all of that and gave me a fix-it ticket. I know what they're going to say. I know what was this guy's name, Drummer Boy in 1980s, going to say, but oh, Red Femme Diaries. It's because you're a woman, Red Femme Diaries. Shut up. Shut up. Because you guys have all these stories of black women that have been, shot by the police officers. You know what I'm saying? No, it's because I showed them respect. Now, what this particular person that posted this does not understand is we live in a freaking fallen world. There's going to be so many times where human cops do bad things, but if you think for a second that there aren't white people that have the same problem with cops, you're a fool. What you've done when you show this, when you show image like this, what you put in the minds of other black people, you put in their minds a fear, a hatred for cops. And I think I showed a video in the beginning here. This is what happens. You get an angry public with the officers. They put the respect for the officers aside. They're risking their lives. You have no idea. I grew up like this. Who knows if Dad was going to come home? We didn't know. But he risked our lives, and there's millions of officers I know some of personally that lay their lives down to protect the community. And are there some bad ones? Absolutely. But if you're going to sit here and look me in the eye and tell me as a black person that our main problem in our community is white officers and their abuse, you're a daggone lie. Our issue is that our family unit is not intact. And you can blame the white people for that all you want to, but at the end of the day, it was a black woman that chose to leave her man. Our families are in disarray. That's our issue. And so you have a lot of black youth and kids running around here being disrespectful, being violent, and you have police officers that have to deal with this. And so what the liberal people decided to do, they took our victimhood and they weaponized it. And they weaponized it against the free world because that's not what they want. You're getting used and you don't even know it. See, I don't know how to present this properly. Let me do this. Let me go down. We'll look at some of the, this is me, y'all. So when I saw this post, I said, I'm speechless on this one. And he said, why? Speak up. What's on your mind? And I said, I don't understand this way of thinking. I'm being sincere. We're going to skip forward. Let me find, here's what I said. I said, your world would open up if you ever rode with police officers for a month and understood what they actually face. White or black doesn't matter. Not just what the media feeds us. Liberals have weaponized black people's ignorance, and most are unable to comprehend it. Messages like this do nothing but put more black lives in danger. It's heartbreaking because you don't understand what this does. And I said, when you forward posts like this, you have no idea you are doing exactly what they want you to do. I shouldn't comment, but it's beyond frustrating when I know firsthand the damage this causes. So he says, okay, see, I don't want to read all this. It's going to take forever. People act as though I'm the problem. You live in California. That's no big deal. Everything is, okay, here he goes. This is the part. He says, everything is about race, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. I don't make the rules. I'm just bold enough to talk about. And I said, Oh, no, the damage is done when unarmed people are gunned down. Let's start here. You fool. You think ain't never been no unarmed white man that's been gunned down? Of course! Because we're humans and that's how this goes. But what they do is they take every black case and they post it all over the media to get you in your emotions, because we are highly emotional people. And they weaponize this to the point where they're even trying to defund the police. You have parts in California where you don't get, you only get a misdemeanor if you're still under $900. So basically you have a crime, so you have people just running and stealing rampantly because the hands of the police are tied. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional because there's so much here and I can't get it all out. I finally ended here with your world is quite small. There is nothing I could ever tell you. And I think he said just one big kumbaya, whatever he said. But I like to make things basic. I teach my sons, and when I was teaching Sabbath school and adventures, I taught the youth to respect the police officers, to respect them. I teach them not to get involved in crime. That way you don't have to get involved with law enforcement. Are there times in life where there are people in jail that are there that are not supposed to be there? Absolutely. Not only black, white as well. This is the way of the world because it's bad. So there are bad things. But you as a person, you respect the law. And more likely than not, if you stay out of a life of crime, you do what you're supposed to do, you stay on the straight and narrow, stay away from troublemakers, you respect the law, you will be just fine for the most of us. But that's not what they want to teach you. They want to tell you this right here. And if you guys only understood how many lives have been lost because of this mentality, that they're the enemy and they're out to get you and you gotta fight. And I get it. But I would never teach my sons this. I'm not able to express everything that I want to say. I just don't have the mental capacity to do it. So I'm going to let Thomas Sowell speak here. And then after that, I'm going to play another video that's going to be pretty violent. And it's going to be of an unarmed man being shot by the police wrongfully. And it is a white man. And you don't hear a lot about these cases because it doesn't fit the narrative that they feed you. That's all I got, y'all. I hope I did the best I could, y'all. So please like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. This is Red Femme Diaries. Goodbye.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
I had to remind him that he was a black person, so he can't vote for Donald Trump, and that he shouldn't be influencing an entire swath of people who may listen to him because he's worried about his own personal pocketbook.
So Dr. Ben Carson, you may be familiar with him. He's an up-and-coming African-American in the Republican Party. Anyway, he's being taken to task tonight after making some controversial comments on Mark Levin's conservative radio show. Here it is.
You're attacked also in many respects because of your race, because you're not supposed to think like this and talk like this. A lot of white liberals just don't like it, do they?
Well, they're the most racist people there are because, they put you in a little category, a little box. You have to think this way. How could you dare come off the plantation?
From my standpoint, as a black American, as far as I'm concerned, it is a high-tech lynching for uppity blacks who in any way deign to think for themselves, to do for themselves, to have different ideas. And it is a message that unless you kowtow to an old order, this is what will happen to you. You will be lynched, destroyed, caricatured by a committee of the U.S. Senate rather than hung from a tree.
Booker T. Washington, his message, his story, his success, the generation that came out of slavery, their successes, that's an inconvenient truth for the political left. So yes, hide Booker T. Washington, hide all those blacks who were successful, hide all the success that took place before affirmative action. Just hide it. Pretend it didn't happen And then you can believe that blacks are inferior and that only white people can save them.
Black people have never supported, for example, affirmative action, quotas, anything of that sort. Wherever polls have been taking a black opinion on such matters of should people be paid equally or should there be this or that, black people have never taken a position that you describe. So it is not a question of what black people chose to do. It's what you choose to put in the mouths of black people. It is what you choose to project. It is not what any black people have ever said anywhere that you can put your finger on.
It's what you choose to put into the mouth of the pollsters, as far as I can see. Look at the leadership of the black community.
Like most people, I have never seen a pollster.
If you look at the leadership of the black...
Intellectuals in the 1960s began promoting the idea that those blacks who exhibited a culture different from the ghetto or black redneck culture were not really authentic blacks. This issue was strikingly demonstrated in a controversy between Irving Howe and Ralph Ellison, growing out of Howe's 1963 article criticizing such black writers as Ellison, whom Howe considered insufficiently authentic or militant. For Howe, the central character in Richard Wright's novel, Native Son, a ghetto black epitomizing the black redneck culture, was authentic, and the more sophisticated central character in Ellison's novel, Invisible Man, was not. Ellison rejected and derided the idea of a white man defining what a black man should be and attempting to confine individual blacks to that stereotype. The notion that the ghetto black was the authentic black not only spread among both white and black intellectuals, it had social repercussions far beyond the intellectual community. Rooting black identity in a counterproductive culture not only reduced incentives to move beyond that culture, it cut off those within that culture from other blacks who had advanced beyond it, who might otherwise have been sources of examples, knowledge, and experience that could have been useful to those less fortunate. But more successful blacks were increasingly depicted as either irrelevant non-members of the black community or even as traitors to it. In turn, this meant that many blacks who had a wider cultural exposure and greater socioeconomic success felt a need to conform, to some degree or another, to a more narrow ghetto view of the world, perhaps using ghetto language in order to prove their identity with their own race. Such social pressures become especially acute for young blacks in the schools and colleges. One consequence of this has been that counterproductive attitudes toward education have filtered upward into black middle-class young people raised in racially integrated middle-class communities such as Shaker Heights, who spend less time on their studies than their white or Asian American classmates, under the overhanging threat of being accused of acting white if they devote themselves to their studies instead of to various social activities in which other black students indulge. The painful irony is that those who make this accusation are themselves acting white when they perpetuate a redneck culture from a bygone era. Even such a modern ghetto creation as gangsta rap echoes the violence, arrogance, loose sexuality, and self-dramatization common for centuries in white redneck culture, and speaks in exaggerated cadences common in the oratory of rednecks in both the antebellum South and those parts of Britain from which their ancestors came. It is not only the cultural peculiarities of the black ghetto culture which has been perpetuated by the identity fetish developed in the post-1960s era. What has also been promoted has been a conformity of beliefs and affirmations among blacks, with those with different viewpoints being banished from consideration intellectually and ostracized socially, at least insofar as identity advocates succeed in imposing their straitjacket on others. Not only behavioral litmus tests, but ideological litmus tests have been used by those promoting a black identity fetish, with those who do not pass such litmus tests being dismissed as not really black. This post-1960s black identity intolerance, promoted by white intellectuals as well as black leaders and activists, is a painful parallel to the post-1830s intolerance among white Southerners against anyone who questioned slavery in any way. Maintaining what has been aptly called an intellectual blockade against ideas differing from those prevailing in the South, antebellum Southerners not only insulated themselves from ideas and viewpoints originating outside the region, but, at the same time, in effect drove out of the South independent-minded people who would not march in lockstep. The resulting narrow and unquestioning conformity of that era led the South into the blind alley of a civil war that devastated wide sections of the region and left a legacy of bitterness that lasted for generations. It can only be hoped that today's narrow intolerance promoted by a black identity fetish will not lead into similarly disastrous blind alleys.
You do that again, we're shooting you. Do you understand? Please do not shoot me. Then listen to my instructions. I'm trying to do it. Don't talk, listen!
Newly released body cam footage showing the final moments of Daniel Shaver's life.
Crawl towards me. Crawl towards me! Don't talk!
The disturbing video made public after jurors found former Arizona police officer Philip Brailsford not guilty.
Not guilty.
During the trial, Brailsford told jurors he thought the 26-year-old father of two was reaching for a gun. His attorneys referencing a point in the video when Shaver appears to move his right hand towards his waistband.
When movements were made that are consistent with drawing a weapon, you have 1 second to make up your mind.
According to NBC affiliate KPNX, an internal investigation found Shaver, who had been drinking, may have been trying to pull up his pants. The shooting happened in January 2016 at a hotel in Mesa, Arizona. Officers were called to the scene after reports of a man pointing a rifle out a window. According to officials, Shaver did have a pellet gun in his room, but he did not have it on him when he was shot. In a Facebook post from 2016, Shaver's widow called for justice.
What happened was wrong, and I hope one day justice will come and the Mesa Police Department will give me answers for why they killed him.
There are many whites who are trying to solve the problem, but you never see them going under the label of liberals. That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox. And a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming. You know what he's up to. But the fox will fool you. He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his teeth, you think he's smiling. And you take him for a friend.
There are many whites who act friendly toward Negroes. A fox acts friendly toward the lamb. And usually the fox is the one who ends up with the lamb chop on his plate. The wolf doesn't act friendly. And therefore the wolf has more difficulty in getting the lamb chop in his plate.
I'd like to point out, though, that...
I say that because it is usually if you study the structure of the Negro community, economically, politically, civically, psychologically, and otherwise, it's controlled by the white liberal, who usually poses as the friend of the Negro.
On the other hand, I think one could point to a large number of whites who have struggled for civil rights, for equality, and have got little or nothing out of it, other than quite a few bruises.
Give me an example.
Well, the large number of white students who have gone into the South, for example, working for SNCC and other organizations.
Not working for SNCC or other organizations, but working for the white political machines who benefit by the voting efforts of Negroes.
Okay. Today, you could point to a large number of Negro leaders who have consistently betrayed Negroes in a whole host of areas.
They aren't really Negro leaders. These are puppets that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. These are parrots that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. You can't name me a Negro leader who has betrayed Negroes, who has not been endorsed, sanctioned, subsidized, and supported